Koa and I are licensed real estate agents here in Hawaii, although most of our business is conducted here on Oahu. We do have real estate agent relationships throughout the islands, and we get questions quite often about the other islands. So we thought we would compile it all right here with 20 of our most commonly asked questions about Hawaii real estate. Starting with number one, which island is the most expensive? Maui gets the top spot there. The median home price is about $1.2 million, with condos coming in around the $800,000 range. On Kauai, prices are $1.15 million, with condos coming in the $700,000s. Then there's Oahu, single family homes coming in at $1.05 million, condos in the $500,000 range. And then on the Big Island, single family homes are in the $500,000s, but condos are also in the $500,000s, which I find quite interesting. On your neighbor islands, you don't have high rises. Most of your condos and townhomes are going to be in your resort areas. So I feel like that's why the prices are going to be a bit more expensive. As far as variety in real estate, you're going to find it here on Oahu for the most part. Oh, by the way, Molokai and Lanai fall into Maui County. Important thing for me to say right here and right now, I don't care if you say Kauai or Kauai or Molokai or Lanai or Molokai or Lanai. My husband's 50% Hawaiian. He was raised on Kauai. He says Kauai. Most people who live there say Kauai. A lot of Molokai residents are going to say Molokai. I can't help it though, being that I sang so much in the Hawaiian music industry and also took Hawaiian language in college. I like to say things correctly, but if I slip in and out of it, like, don't kill me for it. At least try to say Honolulu. I think that that's a really important one. I guess this is kind of a frequently asked question. We've shared this before, but can you own the beach? No, you cannot. And if you own a house that's on the beach, you have to have these private access areas for people to be able to access the beach. So people will be walking by your house, they will be carrying surfboards, they will be laughing and having a good time, and there is nothing you can do about it. Share the aloha. Now, speaking of animals, we know that there's animals in the ocean, but throughout the state of Hawaii, there's different animals on the different islands. One in particular that stands out is the Coqui frog on the Big Island in the Hilo area. The Coqui frog is originally from Puerto Rico. They got here in the 1980s, being shipped in on some nursery plants, and they just like made it like crazy and exploded. And now at night, I think even during the day, you hear them, Koki, Koki. We don't have them here on Oahu, although we did have a small population of them at one point in Waimanalo, but it seems that they eradicated them. There aren't any on Kauai, there aren't any on Molokai or Lanai. I believe that there are some on Maui. They are very invasive, and jury's out on how they're gonna take care of those. On Maui, you'll also see a lot of access deer, and Yasu was actually educating me on this. There was an Indian family, I believe, that gave the access deer to the royalty as a gift, and then the access deer made it like crazy, but it provides great hunting for our local boys. You can also hunt over on Molokai and Lanai. There's deer there as well. If you happen to golf on the Big Island, you'll see goats on the golf course. That was pretty fun for my husband and me a couple of weeks ago. Also nene goose. Here on Oahu, the most popular animal on land, stray cats.
I'm a cool cat.
Let's talk property taxes. Property taxes are actually the highest on the Big Island at 0.61%, and then it's 0.35% here on Oahu. Maui is the lowest at 0.21%, and Kauai is at 0.27%. Now, property taxes in the state of Hawaii are known to be the lowest nationwide. However, taxes are governed at the county level, not the state level. And there are different tiers depending on your level of ownership. So if you're an owner-occupant, what I just quoted are the rates that are applied to owner-occupants. If you're an owner-investor, if you've got more of a vacation rental, there's all kinds of different tiers. Also, the tax rates change when you go up and over $1 million. And let me tell you, it's not easy to find the differences in the tax rates and the different tiers, of course, because they're all county websites. So perhaps if we haven't already, we'll compile something for you so that you have an easier way to understand the property taxes in the state of Hawaii on our blog at dwellhawaii.com. How are property taxes and insurance handled? Property taxes and insurance here in Hawaii are usually collected with your mortgage payment if you have a mortgage. Otherwise, property taxes are collected 2 times per year. Leasehold versus fee simple, what is that? Leasehold properties do exist on all of the islands. It's pretty common here, or it was pretty common back in the day. Now we're seeing a lot of leasehold conversions, or you can have an opportunity to buy the fee interest to the property. Leasehold means that you're leasing the land from another landowner. Here in Hawaii, one of the biggest landowners is Bishop Estates, so oftentimes you'll see that they are the owner of the fee. Typically, you're going to own the land or own the property and lease the land for a set number of years. This is very common with Department of Hawaiian Homelands. You have to be 50%, by the way, to own on the Hawaiian homeland. Those leases go for 99 years. We still have a lot of leasehold available in Waikiki. Not the greatest investment. Typically, leases will go for like maybe 20 to 30 years. They get renegotiated. You're paying a lease rent to the landowner. So in general, you'll want to stay away from leasehold. Very, very rarely does a leasehold property actually make sense. When you're searching for properties, you want to keep your eyes on fee simple. Speaking of insurance, what types of insurance are you required to have in Hawaii? Well, there's no law that requires you to have any type of insurance, but if you have a mortgage, you are going to have hurricane insurance. Hurricane insurance premiums can be lessened when you have hurricane clips on the roof or foundation anchors on your foundation. Also, if you live in a flood zone, your lender is going to require you to have flood insurance. Do you have to have fire insurance? Not necessarily. In light of the Lahaina fires, that's a question that we get often, and it's not typically required. How much is insurance? Insurance can run anywhere between, on average, $800 to $1,000 per year. Flood insurance might be an additional, on average, $700 per year. It all depends on your insurance carrier and on the type of home that you own. Speaking of floods and environmental concerns, one of the biggest questions we get is about sea level rise. Now, all of the environmental models are pointing to the sea level rising by about a foot by 2050. Now, sea level rise has sparked a lot of controversy here in Hawaii because one of the things that property owners want to be able to do is to build a seawall to protect their property. However, if you don't get a permit for it, you can get in big trouble. Somebody was fined big money on the North Shore for implementing a seawall without a permit. Speaking of 2050, one thing that needs to be converted by 2050 is cesspool to septic tank systems. These exist quite often on the neighbor islands. We also see them a bit on the North Shore and in areas like Kaneohe. Now, over on the Big Island, you do need to be aware of lava zones. There was an estate area called Leilani Estates that was really badly affected by the erupting volcano. Luckily, the only active volcano in the state of Hawaii exists on the Big Island. So if you're on Kauai, Maui, or on Oahu, you're safe. Which island feels the most like Hawaii? This is purely subjective, and I'm going to answer this kind of based on my own opinions or on the opinions of other clients that I've worked with or people that I know. So I personally feel like Oahu feels the most like Hawaii to me, but if I think back to when I was growing up and when I was in high school and just out of high school, I loved Kauai. Kauai to me was the place for hiking and for going to the beach, and it was the least inhabited, or at least it kind of felt that way. Like, you could go to the beach and there would only be a few people there as opposed to like tons of people with umbrellas and towels and music and that sort of thing. Traffic wasn't so bad, but Kauai has changed quite a bit. Still feels a lot like Hawaii. It's still lush and so beautiful, but there's been quite a bit of development in the Koloa and Poipu area. Traffic has gotten kind of gnarly there, even more gnarly through Kapa'a town. It's kind of nuts. My husband would argue with you, being from Kauai, that is the ultimate island. Again, love it, very beautiful. We own property over there. The Big Island, we just vacationed there a couple weeks ago. We've recently taken up golf, and we vacationed at the Hapuna Beach Resort. Gorgeous, a lot of local people working at the resort, really laid back. Most of the people come from Waimea, which is more upcountry, more of your old school country ranch type of living. And of course, you've got the Hilo side of the Big Island too, which is very local and a town that feels like it's kind of like stuck back in time. Big Island is big, the terrain is very different. So again, it really depends on what Hawaii is to you. Maui feels like Hawaii to a lot of people. It is kind of touristy. I feel like when I go there, I see a lot of people that have moved there as opposed to locals that have remained on the island. I feel like a lot of Maui locals have moved over here to Oahu. I think it's important to note too, we've got a client right now that's in escrow here on Oahu. They started over on the Big Island in Waimea. They thought for sure that that was where they would want to live for the rest of their lives. And then after about 6 months, they were like, I don't know what to do with this sideways rain. The sun doesn't really shine up here. It's cold. This isn't the Hawaii that I thought it was going to be. They initially looked at homes in June, so in the summertime, and then they experienced, the rainy season, the hurricane season, the wind and the rain, and now they've decided to buy over here on Oahu. So moral of the story is, I personally feel like Hawaii is Oahu just because you get a lot of variety here. We've got great beaches. You've got Waikiki if you're wanting to experience tourism a little bit. You've got the resort area of Ko'olina. You've got different types of homes that are on hillsides, homes that are in valleys, homes that are next to the beach. You've got the condo living. Of course, I'm a real estate agent here on Oahu, so I might sound a little bit biased, but just make sure that you really get a good feel for what it is that you're looking for in terms of Hawaii living. Every now and then we get questions about living off-grid. Where's the best place for me to do that in Hawaii? We know a lot of people that do so on the island of Molokai. Not really a whole lot happening over there. Some people do it on the Big Island. We do have some people doing it right here on Oahu in Wailua. Now, if you want to feel a little bit like you're living off-grid, you might want to live in northeast Big Island in the Hilo area and in the areas surrounding it. They actually have water catchment systems there where you actually catch your own rainwater for drinking and plumbing, etc. You're not getting your water from like the Board of Water Supply. Can I live on ag land? You can, however, your dwelling has to have some sort of contribution to farming. You have to be growing things and contributing to the community and contributing to the earth other than just like camping on this big parcel of land. Moving between the islands, how do you do it? Typically, you're going to take an inter-island flight, which is between 20 to 30 minutes. Hawaiian Airlines, Southwest Airlines, Alaska Airlines. Maybe you'll get on a puddle jumper like Mokulele if you're going to some of the smaller islands. You still have to go through all the TSA rigmarole, take your laptop out of your bag, take off your shoes, stand in line, all that good stuff. There's really no ferries, although there is a ferry between Maui and Molokai and Lanai. You can do like a day trip. These are really great for people who commute between those islands for work. If you're actually moving from one island to the other, typically you're going to get a shipping container just like if you were moving from the West Coast or another coast to Hawaii. Your car will go on the barge. It'll take a couple of days. Royal Hawaiian Movers is a great company. That's a company that some of our clients are using right now. Typically it's not that big of a deal, but moving sucks, so I don't know, it is a big deal. Moving and transporting between the islands is going to be important when it comes to healthcare. Your best healthcare is going to be found here on Oahu, and a lot of people come from the neighbor islands to have major procedures done here in our hospitals. Jobs are going to be found more abundantly here on Oahu, although throughout the state, tourism is our main economy. Schools on Oahu are known to be the best, although there is a really great private school on the Big Island in Waimea called the Hawaii Preparatory Academy. What is Ohana housing? Ohana means family, and Ohana housing just basically means a mother-in-law suite. So a space in your home that kind of lives independently of the main part of the house. Typically it's supposed to be occupied by a family member, and this is a place that's going to have just a wet bar. So you're gonna have like 2 of the 3 major kitchen items, a stove and a refrigerator, or a stove and a sink, but you can't have all 3, although a lot of people do. ADUs, accessory dwelling units. Now these are quite popular. These really increase the value of a property. There are rules around it, and of course, you have to get a permit for it, which is really difficult here in the state of Hawaii, particularly here on the island of Oahu, but here's the rules anyway. If you have a 3,500 square foot lot, you're allowed to have a 400 square foot extra living space. You can have all 3, so you can have the stove, the sink, and the refrigerator. If you have a 5,000 square foot lot, you can have an 800 square foot unit. Now these rules are different depending on the island that you're interested in. Do I need to use a local lender, or can I use my lender on the mainland? Honestly, here on our island, local lenders are very preferred just because When it comes to closing and having to ship docks and really understanding the nuances of Hawaii real estate, it is preferred that you use a local lender. However, if you use a mainland lender, they have to be licensed in the state of Hawaii. Finally, which island is the best place to invest? Again, this is a question that's truly subjective. It really depends on what you're vested in, depends on what type of lifestyle you're looking for. Oahu certainly offers a lot of variety. The Big Island offers a lot of vast terrain. Kauai is very serene and very lush. Maui, you've got your fair share of luxury real estate, but Maui also has a totally different vibe, a little bit Orange County-ish. You know, my husband is from Kauai, and he can typically say, like right off the bat, when he spots somebody that's from an outer island. By the way, I got kind of gonged for saying outer island. The PC way is neighbor island. My husband's from Kauai, and he says outer island. But if Koa and I can help you answer any questions, you can reach out to us privately through the links in the description box. If there's something you'd like us to answer publicly, please feel free to leave us a comment. Either way, if we can help you with buying and selling real estate, we'd be honored to help you. Thanks so much for watching.